Ukrainian vendetta. GUR fighters eliminated the occupiers who were killing civilians in Bucha. And near Rostov, an oil refinery has been burning for 3 days after strikes by Ukrainian drones. Zelensky is ready to discuss territorial issues with Putin. Donald Trump boasts about a joint photo with the Russian dictator and invites him to the United States for the World Cup. Meanwhile, Russia is building a huge listening antenna just 25 kilometers from the Polish border. Hello, my name is Karina Klishun. Right now, the main stories. But first, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we don't lose each other on YouTube. An update on the situation at the front. More than 30 explosions rocked Kramatorsk between 21:47 and 22:59 last night. This was reported by the local authorities. Take a look at this hell. Local authorities also report that the precise type of weapon currently being utilized by the enemy is still being definitively determined, and the persistent threat of continued shelling remains a significant concern. Our military also say the situation in Kramatorsk is difficult.
Russian forces launched a massive strike on Kramatorsk. One of the munitions hit a residential area. It was completely destroyed. Nearby houses were also damaged.
As for the Pokrovsk direction, the General Staff reported that the fiercest fighting is happening there. Our defenders repelled 43 assaults. However, our forces are also managing to strike back at the enemy. Fighters from the 37th Brigade carried out a clearing operation in the village of Zeleny High in Donetsk region. Our forces are also hitting important Russian military targets with precision. Recently, in the temporarily occupied territories of Donetsk region, a command post for the Rubicon Russian UAV unit and a large ammunition depot were destroyed, according to the General Staff. But our forces are also striking at newly constructed Russian facilities. For example, on the territory of Donetsk airport, they began restoring the building of the former metro store. But as they say, luck was not on their side. And here are these striking shots near Radinsk in the occupied part of Kherson region. The media reports that this was a HIMARS strike on Russian forces.
That's precisely how HIMARS strikes effectively hit.
Then this is already an explosion in the Luhansk region. According to the main intelligence directorate, Russian war criminals who killed civilians in Bucha were eliminated there, along with enemy pickups and ammunition. This is already the work of a UAV in the town of Petrovy Val in the Volgograd region. There, a fire broke out near the local railway station. And let me remind you that Russian military exercises are scheduled to take place in Belarus in September. The Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a polite and gentle warning to Russian and Belarusian military personnel.
We warn Minsk against reckless provocations. We advise them to remain prudent, not to approach the borders, and not to provoke Ukraine's defense forces.
Belarusians and Russians should take heed because we remember how they might be received at least by our border guards.
Their regular patrols frequently make overtly offensive gestures, directly threatening the diligent border guards and their positions.
I think this argument from our border guard is more than convincing. Neither of you should even think about coming here. Meanwhile, near Rostov, the Russians have been unable to extinguish the Novoshaktinsk oil refinery for 4 days now. It caught fire on the night of August 21st after an attack by Ukrainian drones.
That's the situation we have this morning.
At the same time, the local authorities are calling it just an emergency situation, keeping quiet about the strike. But the fire shows no sign of dying down and has spread to a new fuel tank. To put it out, officials shut off the water supply to the entire city of Krasny Sulin, where about 35,000 people live. This oil refinery is considered one of the largest fuel suppliers in southern Russia. Residents complain about the stench from the fire, but the Russian mayor insists that the air is clean. Supposedly, they just made it up themselves. And while there is fire and chaos in Russia, Ukraine is preparing for negotiations. President Zelensky stated that security guarantees for Ukraine should resemble NATO's Article 5. Negotiations on this matter are currently underway.
Right now, negotiations are taking place almost every day regarding the actual content of Ukraine's security guarantees at the level of security advisors, military officials, and diplomats from all teams.
Zelensky also added that, at present, there are not enough F-16 fighter jets to ensure security in the skies. In turn, Turkey has declared its readiness to provide security for Ukraine in the Black Sea region. However, the readiness of our partners alone is not enough, since Russia itself, through its actions, demonstrates that it is not seeking solutions.
It is precisely at the leadership level that the issue must be resolved in order to end the war. But right now, we see that the Russians are doing everything to prevent the meeting from happening.
Meanwhile, in Russia itself, they are practically shouting about security guarantees for Russians.
When Russia raises the issue of security guarantees, to be honest, I still don't know who is threatening them. They attacked us, and I don't quite understand what kind of guarantees the aggressor needs. Guarantees of what? So, for me, this is still unclear.
So, taking all of this into careful consideration, NATO Secretary General Rutte is indeed making a completely logical and understandable statement.
We need to guarantee a level of security such that Putin, sitting in Moscow, would never even think of attacking Ukraine again. NATO will continue to stand on Ukraine's side.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has officially stated that Zelensky is ready to discuss territorial issues, but only in a personal meeting with Putin. As Deputy Foreign Minister Serhiy Kyslytsya stated, only in the format of the current front line.
I think President Zelensky has made it clear that he is ready to sit down with President Putin and discuss this. And the starting point for discussions on the territorial issue is the line of demarcation.
But is Putin ready to talk about this? Does he have the courage? What do you think about this? Write your thoughts in the comments below this video. China is ready to participate in the search for ways to resolve Russia's war against Ukraine. This was stated by Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning in response to the words of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who emphasized that Ukraine does not need security guarantees from China.
It is extremely important to strive for comprehensive, inclusive and sustainable security and to promote a political resolution of the crisis in Ukraine. China is ready to play a constructive role in these efforts.
Yes, she refers to the bloody war in Ukraine as a crisis. To be more precise, China is ready for a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine under a UN mandate. And such an initiative from Beijing is cause for concern. According to European leaders, China could use this mission for intelligence gathering and in the event of an escalation of the war, take a pro-Russian stance. But there are also those who believe that the participation of countries from the global south, particularly China, could speed up the deployment of international forces to monitor the peace process. Yet, amid all the talk of peace, Putin continues to wage war and the danger for Europe remains. As reported by the media, citing satellite images, Russia is building a massive listening antenna near the Polish border. Western analysts claim that satellite images of the Kaliningrad region show a strange structure, 7 symmetrical rings behind a fence. The structure has a diameter of about 1 6/10 kilometers and is located 25 kilometers from the Polish border. And what do you think Russia's goals are? You can watch fire, water, and Trump making absurd statements forever. And here's a new batch for you. Let's start with an article from the Wall Street Journal. Journalists write that there will be no peaceful deal, and Donald Trump's efforts to resolve the war in Ukraine have reached a dead end. At the very same time, Politico, citing the White House, reports Trump firmly believes that Ukraine should agree to a comprehensive deal, mostly on Russia's terms, in order to effectively end the ongoing war. Trump himself controversially compared Zelensky to Putin, and you'll never believe what with.
Let's see if Putin and Zelensky can work together. You know, it's like oil and vinegar. They don't really get along for obvious reasons.
Yes, we're talking about oil and vinegar in reference to the president of Ukraine whose country was attacked and the Russian dictator who gave that bloody order. As for sanctions against Russia, Trump promised to make a decision in 2 weeks. Apparently, he's hoping that Putin will give him a reason not to impose them. Also, during his address to journalists, the American president boasted about a joint photo with the Russian dictator. And the cherry on top, Trump suggested that Putin might come to the US for the football championship. What do you think of that proposal?
Vladimir Putin, who I truly think might indeed come, depending entirely on how various things unfold. He might very well come, or he might absolutely not come at all. It all depends on what happens. We'll have a lot of different events over the next few weeks. But I thought it was a good photo of him. Mine was so-so, but his was good. It was very nice.
And of course, Putin can't help but notice this loyalty and continues to actively make blatantly false and propagandistic statements about Ukraine.
Propaganda, of course, works. People's brains are thoroughly washed, and they say that we started the war, forgetting that they themselves started the war back in 2014, when they began using tanks and aircraft against the civilian population of Donbass. That's when the war began, and we are doing everything we can to end it.
In general, the communication between Trump and Putin is nothing new to us. But it's important to note that behind every word of praise for the Russian leader stand thousands of murdered Ukrainian civilians, including many children. Mr. Trump, do you still like having your photo taken with a killer? Meanwhile, Kim Jong Un has awarded North Koreans who fought on the Russian side. He held an entire ceremony in Pyongyang. Commanders, the soldiers themselves, and the families of the fallen were brought there. Kim himself said that the fighters are an example of valor and selflessness and showed the world what makes the DPRK strong and why it will win any war. Of course, the ceremony also included a stage display of weeping for the leader. Moreover, for the first time, even North Korean television aired a report about their military's participation in the battles near Kursk on the side of the Russian Federation. The propaganda piece showed footage where DPRK fighters allegedly destroy Ukrainian tanks, shoot down drones, and storm positions. The country's authorities also acknowledged losses for the first time, 101 soldiers killed. But of course, they won't reveal the real number of casualties. Meanwhile, the situation among Russian soldiers is even worse. The 80th Tank Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces. Commanders are demanding money from soldiers from Moscow, which the state pays them for the war. They take their bank cards with the PIN code and live it up. And those who refuse to hand them over have a very hard time.
Lie down, you dog. Who gave you permission to get up? What are you, from a kennel? You ran off to wish for something. Huh? I'm asking you.
It's absolutely nothing at all, really.
The person in the video is the one who refused. First he was beaten and then he was killed. I've never seen more brutal beasts than the Russians. Please like this video to support what we do, and be sure to subscribe to our channel Ukraine Today so you don't miss the next episodes. See you soon.